Hi everyone.
Welcome back to Shades of Guilt. Last episode, we were discussing the case of Evgenia Vladimirova, who was murdered by her husband, and then his father helped cover up the case. He helped conceal the body and dump it into a water reservoir, so nobody finds out what happened to her. This episode is going to contain discussions of strangulation and torture. So if you don't feel like you can watch that, if this is a sensitive topic for you, please take care of yourself, and we're gonna see you in the next one. So last time we discussed that Evgenia had been cheating on her husband, most likely, or at least talking to another man. Her husband had been stalking her for months, placing spyware software on her phone, and also hiring a private investigator to follow her. And he found out that she wanted to divorce him, which led him to murder her because he didn't want to share custody of their child. So he strangled her, he wrapped her head in plastic wrap, and then stuffed her body in a suitcase and dumped her. So stay with us for part 2 of the case and what happened after the trial and the second trial, which is gonna be the most shocking of all. Thank you.
Hi everyone.
Hi, welcome back. So after Orlin and his father helped each other get rid of the body of Evgenia, everything continued to be normal. Orlin actually reported Evgenia missing, and he was in every news station. He was like on TV all the time, begging for her to come back. He was giving interviews. He was talking to her friends, and also he was messaging her friends on her behalf from her phone, so that he can keep the illusion that she was actually alive, and she just left. But her family never actually believed that for a second, because she wasn't that type of person. She would never abandon her child. Like, she was so responsible. She was such a great mother. She was loving and caring, and she would never do that. So, people say that about people, that this person, they would never do that. But the thing is, Evgenia had always been extremely responsible all her life, and everybody who knew her would tell you that no, this is just not possible. Like no, she would never abandon her child. So if she disappeared, something happened to her. And for her to message her friends, that was weird, because they knew that it wasn't her. Like I said in the previous episode, you know that we all have patterns of speaking. For example, I'm one of those grammar Nazis that I don't make spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes because I check every message before I send it. This is who I am, and if I make a lot of spelling mistakes, all my friends are gonna know, no, this is not Stella, this is somebody else. No, that's just not her. And all Evgenia's friends are saying the same thing, that yeah, it was very clear that it wasn't her that was sending the messages, because the patterns were not her. But they noticed that the messages that were sent actually matched Orlin's way of speaking, his way of expressing himself. Also, one of the things, as ridiculous as it sounds, Evgenia loved French fries. She's my type of person. I love French fries. I absolutely, like, this is the one thing I can never give up, I guess. And she loved French fries, and also did her son. But the next day, she was supposed to meet her mother, and her mother received a message saying, don't do any French fries, which was weird, because in previous conversations, like, Orlin didn't like French fries, and even though he didn't, Evgenia's mother would always make French fries for Evgenia. So the fact that she said no French fries made no sense, because, you know, when there's something on the table, you're free to not get any of it. Like, you don't have to eat something you don't like. It's just on the table. Why would you emphasize on do not do that? Like, makes no sense to me. Like, I know that, for example, you don't like soups. So if I make soup for my family and you're not obliged to eat the soup, right?
Yeah.
And I would never, like, any of my relatives or me, they would never think about saying to me, like, don't make a soup, because Richard doesn't like it. Like, Richard is free to eat whatever he wants and not eat if he doesn't like something. So that was the first, kind of a red flag. And also, when he was questioned in the police station, all the psychologists, they did notice that he also spoke about Evgenia in past tense. So that made an impression. He was also questioned by a psychologist who's a speech specialist. Please, anyone correct me if I'm wrong. But the speech specialist actually didn't notice the patterns of speech of Orlin, and that it doesn't match Evgenia's. So they questioned him for a long time. And after the body was found, he actually pretended to not know what happened, and he pretended to be distraught. He pretended to be upset, but he wasn't, and it was obvious that he wasn't. He would also ask a lot of the questions, like, how long is the sentence for murder? And that was before Evgenia's body was found. So, like, you're asking those questions, those questions are weird. If you're, like, you report your wife missing and you're asking how many years for a murder.
Why is it crazy? Why is you asking? Because kind of, it's a red flag when you
Yeah,
ask
I think he
the
couldn't
detective.
help himself.
Yes, because they will kind of assume, why are you asking?
Yeah, I think he just couldn't help himself. The thing is, his father was trying his best to cover everything up, too, because his father was an accomplice. Nobody can convince me otherwise. Because after that, his father was trying to, get away with I didn't know he murdered her, but yeah, he's my son, and I'm very, very sick, so I'm not gonna go to the court trial. None of which is making me feel any sorry for him. No. His father, remember that person? He's a former government agency for national security employee. This is not just anybody. This person knows about investigations. He knows how everything works. He knows how to cover up a story. The thing is, Orlin has been evaluated by psychiatrists, and they say that he has a narcissistic personality disorder, which means narcissists, they cannot fake feelings, meaning they know how a normal person should react to things, but they cannot make themselves react like this. So it looks fake. Everything looks fake. So the investigators kind of noticed that, that person isn't feeling sorry that his wife is found dead. He's asking weird questions. And that's weird. Also, they suggested he does a polygraph test. I know that polygraph is not the most reliable thing in the world, and it's not admissible in court anyway, but it kind of gives you indication if that person is actually lying or not. But he refused. He flat out refused to do a polygraph test.
So how did the investigative officers tie the murder case to him? How did they get to find out that he committed the crime? Did he just confess, or how did they do that?
After the body was found, they found quite a lot of evidence with the body, like DNA evidence, and Evgenia wasn't going by herself there. She had to have been, dumped in that reservoir. So they found a lot of forensic evidence, and while Orlin was spinning stories, his father knew that they're done for. So his father entered the interrogation room and said, "Son, we're done for. You better confess, because it's gonna be harder later." And this is when Orlin actually made a full confession of what happened.
So it was the father that gave up his son, that asked him, convinced him
that the forensic evidence is enough to convict them. But in Bulgaria there is this clause in the law that if you confess, you get a lighter sentence. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes you get a lighter sentence. So the father knew, because he had worked in law enforcement before, so he knew that, the case is done, that they knew what happened.
Okay, he knew that at that point they discovered the body, there will be this forensic, and he knew that this moment is going to take on that different shape, and it won't be long
before they're convicted. Yes. Yeah. So the father came into the interrogation room with his son and said, "Son, we're done for. You better confess." So that's what happened. And then, only then, Orlin actually confessed to what he did, to how he strangled his wife, how he disposed of the body, and he was detained, obviously. And he was charged with first-degree murder, and he was held in prison.
So why did he decided to give up the father?
The father?
Yeah, how did you implicated the father?
Well, the call was made, so they had their phone records. So they knew that Orlin actually called his father, and also there were evidence of his father helping. So they had the father implicated and also the son implicated, but the father had confessed at this point. So he actually led to the son confessing. And yeah, they're both held in detention. And the first trial, and I'm gonna explain why I'm saying the first trial. The first trial, they did admit all the confessions, and everything went according to law. And at this point, Evgenia's relatives, her friends, and all the people close to her, they went into court and held her picture in front of the judges. And this wasn't held in front of a jury. It was held in front of 8 judges. So in the first trial, all the evidence were presented, and the evidence that had most weight was the testimony of the psychologists that actually explained what the reasons for believing that he killed his wife and his confession is real was. And also they brought in one of Orlin's ex-girlfriends. That was the girlfriend before Evgenia. They were in a relationship for 7 years, and this girlfriend actually stated that yes, she cheated on Orlin too, but it was because he was very, very controlling. See the pattern here, like he was controlling like all his life, and also that he didn't want kids and family, and she was actually ready for that. She wanted children and she wanted family, but he wasn't ready, so she kind of initiated the breakup because she didn't know how to break up with him if it wasn't cheating. Like, he was so controlling, he was so horrible to her that she didn't know how to break up with him if she didn't make him break up with her. If that makes any sense, I'm not sure. But yeah, basically, sometimes you feel so scared of a person that you're trying to make them break up with you. So you're not like in any danger. We've seen that in multiple cases throughout history. You just want that person to get tired of you, to get bored of you, to just hate you, and they break up with you. So this is what his ex-girlfriend said. And the verdict, the sentence was life in prison without parole, which is in Bulgaria, that's the hardest sentence that you can get. Like, you cannot get any more. We don't have death penalty. So this is the sentence that all Evgenia's relatives and close people, they were hoping for that. And they were like, yeah, it's ridiculous to say that they were happy, because obviously they're not happy. Nothing is bringing her back. But yeah, that kind of felt like justice, because the murderer was never going to be released. And you're gonna see in a minute statements from Evgenia's mother, and also Orlin's mother, by the way. But yeah, it felt like justice. It felt like finally the system is working and somebody killed someone else and they got what they deserved.
Цял месец. Защо мълчахте?
Не съм знаела.
Не знаехте. Не ви сподели съпругът ви, не ви сподели синът ви. Орлин съжалява ли?
Да, съжалявам.
За кое съжалява? За случилото се, за детето, за жена му, за вас.
А може ли да ми кажете кой ви е казал, че съм знала? Абсолютно няма такова нещо.
Защо не съдействате сега за делото и примерно да свидетелствате, да помогнете на родителите на Евгения?
Да, искам да им помогна, даже съм им написала. Казах им, че имам желание да им помогна. Не искат моята помощ. Не искат моята помощ. Няма сега да ви показвам техния отговор. Не мога да я върна, мога само да им помогна с пари и евентуално с детето, но няма кой да ми го даде, нали разбирате? Кой ви е казал, че съм казала, че знам? Това е грозно, това е гадно.
По време на разпитите вечерта, когато са били в полицията и при психолозите.
Няма такова нещо.
Тогава съпругът ви е казал, че още вечерта, когато е станало това нещо, вие сте го питали защо разговаря през нощта с Орлин и той е казал, че Орлин всъщност е направил.
Значи...
Съпругата му е заподозряла още в нощта на изчезването, тъй като Пламен е говорил докъсно през нощта с сина си и се е притеснила и го е попитала какво става и защо не спи. В своето самопризнание Пламен каза, че на пияна глава е признал на жена си какво се е случило. И е казал какво са направили с нейния син.
Така ние разбрахме, затова ви питаме от първо лице, вие да кажете.
Не мисля се за мъжа ми, не знам, но не е било така. Какво е казал? Едва ли е казал такова нещо. Значи аз първо не знаех с кого говори, камо ли да го питам, що говори с цяла нощ с Орлин. Нищо не ми се връзва.
Не знаехте, че
Не ми се
през
връзва.
този един месец.
Не знаех през този един месец. За съжаление, макар че и да знаех през този един месец. Какво можех да направя, освен да кажа?
Да го предадете.
Освен да кажа, да. Друго нямаше да върна Евгения. Сега
Ако знаехте, щяхте ли да кажете?
На полицията.
Да.
Но вече не съм сигурна. Сега вече не съм сигурна. Тогава, когато разбрах, знаех, че ще кажа. Сега вече не съм сигурна.
Кога тогава, когато разбрах?
Когато ми казаха, когато ме се
А сега
държаха.
защо не сте сигурна, че
Сега
бихте?
не съм сигурна, че бих казала.
Защото вие син ли?
Естествено. Вие как бихте поступили?
Но независимо от това какво е направил,
Тогава, когато разбрах, не ми беше син. Всичко се срути. Тогава мислех, че бих казала. Сега не съм сигурна. Мисля, че има хора, които ще ме разберат.
Кажете защо сега, какво се промени?
Майка съм. Искам да знам какво е станало. Точно какво е станало.
Той я убива, успява по някакъв начин да я събере в един куфър, който после неговия баща му помага да го изхвърли.
Тогава, но вие не казвате, че не бихте го предали.
Сега казвам, че не знам как бих поступила сега. Тогава, когато разбрах, когато ме задържаха и разбрах, мислех, че ще го направя веднага, че бих го направила веднага. Сега не съм сигурна.
Поред вас има ли такъв основателен мотив, че да извършиш убийство? Каквото и да е.
Това никога. Това не може да бъде никакво решение, никога за нищо. Това е ясно и на него му е ясно. На всички е ясно.
Вие уважавахте ли Евгения?
Да. Но се обичах. Да си бях поръчала тя да обича моето дете, аз да обичам нейното и така всичко ще е наред.
Той сега съжалява ли?
Той съжалява. Съжалява от първия ден, в който го видях. Какво от това? Може ли да я върна? Съжалява, плаче. Съжалява и за детето. Какво му е причинило?
Ако е бил споделил за този план и на вас, не само на съпруга ви.
Ако е бил споделил, аз не знам да има план, но ако е бил споделил, че има проблем, нямаше да се стигне до там. Не с мен, и с приятеля да се беше споделил. Щеше да го изкаже и нямаше да се стигне до там. Щеше да го изговори и нямаше да се...
В материалите при разследващите казват, че и вие сте била жертва на тормоз.
Ето това не е вярно. Ето това не е вярно. Там пише, че... Да, това го пише Тодор Тодоров, това го видях в последствие. Това абсолютно не е вярно и даже мисля, че в един момент ще си потърси правата.
Вие сте си нормално семейство и нямате проблеми.
Нямам проблеми. Как го разбирате проблема? Че ме бие, че ме...
Да. Имало ли е такова нещо през годините?
Нито веднъж, не през годините, през целия ми живот, нито веднъж.
И това не го казвате, защото се страхувате?
Не. Не, просто ако... не знам как бих го доказала, иначе веднага бих тръгнала да си търси правата. Не може така да се охулва човек. Може да изглежда много изтормозена. Сигурно изглежда много изтормозена. И това значи, че съм бита. Че ме е пребивало от бойчета го някъде.
А сега съпруга ви съжалява ли, че му е помогнал?
Не знам какво му е помогнало. Искам първо да видим какви са нещата.
Помогнал му е да скрие тялото на Евгения.
Не знам какво му е помогнал. Нека първо да...
Вие не знаете материалите по делото, не сте ги видяли.
Материалите по делото са само това, което съм изчела. Няма такова нещо, че му е помогнал да скрие тялото.
Кой занесе куфара там на мястото, където го намери?
Не зададаха на мене психолозите. Аз не знаех и от тук нататък и казах, че не знам и от тук нататък те казват, че съм знаела. Просто няма какво да говоря повече.
Сега вече
Постфактум
той не ви ли каза съпруга ви какво точно се е случило?
Постфактум, ако го питам, не бих ви казала. А аз не го питам, защото е страшно тягостно в този момент да говорим тези неща. Така или иначе ще излезат, нали?
Пламен е доста деспотичен и в семейните си отношения е много авторитарен. До голяма степен може да се каже, че я е държал в подчинение тази жена. Тя самата до голяма степен е в ролята на жертвата в семейните му отношения.
Той сега иска по-лека мярка, за да се лекува, така?
Тоест, да, сега е зле физически, психически.
Знам, че е болен.
Но не коментирам с него защо, помогна ли, как, не коментирам с него, защото е зле. А и освен това, съгласете се, че добре това да бъде след като се внесе, след като започне делото. Така ли?
Да, но примерно в едно семейство такива неща би трябвало да се коментират, особено като се е случило такова нещо.
Трябва да се коментират. Обаче, какво бих получила аз, ако го питам всеки ден, помогна ли, съжаляваш ли? Това ме питате вие. Какво бих получила аз? Зле, психически, плаче, за мене съжалява, всички съжаляват. Това не може да бъде решение за никакъв проблем. За никакъв проблем. Това е и ясно. Нали, за тях е ясно. Няма какво да уточня с тях.
Вие виждате ли го, Орлин? Ходите ли му да свиждате?
Ходя на свиждане, да.
Какво си говорите?
Говорим се битовизми, защото той само плаче. Пита за детето. Няма кой да ми каже за детето.
Не виждате детето?
Не го виждам детето.
Защо?
Няма да ме разрешат.
Липсва ли?
Много. Режехме се, когато имаме възможност, винаги. Те го дават винаги.
Нормално е другата страна да иска до живот без право на замяна. Вие сигурно обаче искате по-лека присъда за Орлин и за съпруга.
Не знам, аз на този етап мисля, че Орлин е жертва, макар че няма как да го оправдае никой. И аз не го оправдая.
Защо смятате, че той е жертва?
Така смятам. Нека по-нататък да ги видим нещата. така смятам. Наистина, ако имам възможност по-нататък, пак ще се видим.
Добре, благодаря ви.
Unfortunately, that's actually not going to be the case for long.
Was the sentence for life imprisonment was it for the both father and son?
Yes, it was for both father and son, because the father was an accomplice. Like, nobody's ever gonna convince me otherwise, and nobody can tell me that the father wasn't an accomplice. He knew. Also, the murder was planned way before that. Like, probably they didn't know that it's gonna be this day, this point, but they were planning it. Like, the fact that Orlin called his father and said, I did the deed, like, what does it say to you? Like, if I call you and say, I did it,
Like so quick?
no,
Like it looked like
you're gonna ask me what? Like,
Yeah,
what
what
did you do?
do-
What happened? Like, the mere fact that his father knew what he did, that means that this has actually been discussed prior to that. And that means that, yeah, maybe it wasn't planned, like, today I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and everything. But yes, it was discussed beforehand. It was planned. So that's even worse than just, a crime of passion of a sort. The thing is, Orlin's lawyers, so he's in prison now. He's serving his sentence. However, his lawyers, they decided that they're gonna appeal the sentence. Although he'd made full confession, which was admitted by court, by 8 judges. So it was admissible, and the court said, yeah, you made a confession, so we're sentencing you to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. This year, it became clear that the trial, the sentence was appealed, and it got reduced to 20 years.
after the judge have ruled for
Yeah.
life imprisonment.
Yeah. After 8 judges, not one, 8 judges ruled in favor of life without parole. So a panel of 3 judges, they overturned the life imprisonment sentence.
Was this sentenced by the Supreme Court?
No, fortunately, there is one more instance to appeal. So basically what happened is, because the confession was made in front of psychologists and investigators, but without lawyers, they kind of ruled it inadmissible. So the confession is real. Everyone can tell you this confession is real. The forensic evidence point to that confession being real. But because of procedural errors, they overturned the life imprisonment sentence, and they sentenced Orlin to 20 years, which means this is 2026 now, so he has already served 5 years, almost 5 years, and with the possibility of parole, he'll be out in another 5 years, which is ridiculous. I don't want to live with the thought that this person is walking amongst us and he's like, he's gonna be free. Like, what? No, like, why? Also, worst of all, his father is free.
Now?
Yes,
The court also overturned the judgment of the father.
Yes, and
And
his father has been acquitted of the crime.
Why is the system working like that?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not really sure if I want to know. I just want to say that this doesn't feel like justice.
So does it mean that Bulgarian judiciary institution, well, I would like to say it can be easily manipulated? At the end of the day, somebody that commits murder, maybe probably after 2 years, they can review the case and overturn a Supreme Court judgment.
I don't want to say yes, but yes. I really wish I believed in the justice system. I really wish I can believe in court. And I really, 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 really wish the court was just. The thing is, there might have been procedural errors.
Yet before sentencing someone to life imprisonment, the juries should have sat down and decided that this guy is guilty and he should be jailed for life.
Yeah.
And it should not that possible. And that is final. I see
Yeah.
no reason why after the Supreme Court have sentenced someone and later they come back. Except probably during the course of investigation there was some
Oh yeah, that there were errors.
there was a lot of errors. They can okay decide to go for retrial. Okay, they can say with the previous, this is where the error is, let's start from here now.
What I don't understand is, yes, maybe during the investigation and during the gathering of evidence and during interrogations and during whatever, somebody made a mistake. How is that Evgenia's fault? How is that her relative's fault? How is that her friend's fault? Why doesn't she deserve justice just because somebody made a mistake? How is that her fault? Why? The person who killed her, he admitted to killing her. And that admission was, accepted by the court. So yes, this confession is still valid. I don't understand why Evgenia, her parents, her brother, her child, because that child, remember, that child has no mother and that child has no father. That child is going to suffer through all his life. They're gonna call him whatever, they're gonna tell him your father is a murderer.
It's already a stigma to the child's life.
Exactly. So why should those people suffer for some clerk's mistake? Like, how is that fair? We're waiting for another trial, and protests are being held in the country because this is
unjust, and it's not justice for her.
I don't know, this is so sad for everybody involved, including Orlin's mother, who I believe personally to have been very, very abused by his father through all her life. I don't know, that this is so unfair. This is so infuriating to me. I'll personally be at the protests. I really, really hope with all my heart that Evgenia gets justice, that this person is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, because this is what he deserves. This is my personal view, and I'll stick to it unless anyone else can prove me wrong, but I don't think possible even. So guys, I hope you're following the case. I hope that you like our videos, and I really sincerely hope you share your opinions with us, and give us a comment, give us a like, and subscribe to the channel. Tell us what you think.
Tell us if she deserves justice. Tell us in your comments if the judicial systems overturning the judgment is good, or what you feel you think is best to do.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.